Yes, welcome everybody. Cannabis news. I'm your host, Joe Klare. It's May 28th, 2019. The show, as always, is presented by the Marijuana Times. MarijuanaTimes.org is where you can find us. Click the video tab there to find the show. You can also search the Marijuana Times at places like YouTube and Vimeo and Apple Podcasts to find the show, the last one being the audio-only version on the old Apple Podcast. Today we're talking about former NFL star Chris Long and what he has to say about marijuana. Also, the government in South Africa just made a change when it comes to cannabis rules and laws, and an Alabama state senator says medical marijuana needs more study, more research, need more information for someone like that can decide that medical marijuana should be legal for people in their state. All of that is coming up. First, of course, Cannabis news is brought to you by Natureside, nature-side.com, and their organic, all-natural pesticides. Make sure you're growing safe and poison-free. Don't use harmful chemicals on what you're growing. Don't use banned pesticides. If you're growing something, anything, whether it's cannabis or anything else, if it's something that someone is going to ingest, don't put harmful pesticides on it. That's awful. That's awful. Don't be awful. Check out Natureside, nature-side.com, and their organic, all-natural pesticides. This first story by Jason Sander from MarijuanaTimes.org. Former NFL star Chris Long says it shouldn't be an issue that players use medical cannabis. He spoke out about using cannabis during his entire career in pro football. He opened up about his cannabis use in the NFL in a recent interview with Dan Patrick. Long, the 2018 Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year award winner, told Patrick that cannabis use for pain and stress management, quote, shouldn't even be an issue, end quote, to NFL league officials and team owners. Long described how grueling playing in the NFL can be and how it can wreak havoc on a player's body. He said he used cannabis to manage the stress of being the number 2 overall draft pick. Listen, if not for that, I'm not as capable of coping with the stresses of day-to-day NFL life, Long said. He said that Toradol was actually more effective for his pain management, but acknowledged how many NFL players prefer cannabis to pills for their physical pains. He said a lot of guys get a lot of pain management out of it. Toradol did more pain management for me. Basically highlighting that, NFL players who have the choice, obviously they can get opioids and all kinds of shots and various things, but they still can't use or choose to use medical cannabis to treat their pain. An issue that apparently, as slow as things move between the NFL and the Players Association, is going to be an issue for at least a couple more years before something is finally done. This next story from businesstech.co.za. Government just made a massive change to South Africa's cannabis laws. Department of Health published an update on regulations surrounding cannabis in South Africa. According to Helen Michael, Director of Healthcare and Life Sciences and Practices at Worksmans, THC and CBD were all listed as Schedule 7 substances in terms of the Medicines Act. Schedule 7 in South Africa, which includes substances such as heroin, are considered highly regulated drugs which may only be supplied or used pursuant to a permit issued by the Director General of Health and under specific circumscribed circumstances. It's very... I don't know if I would have chosen to use both those words together, but it does have a certain ring to it under specific circumscribed circumstances. The effect of the government notice is to remove CBD that is not intended for therapeutic purposes from Schedule 7 and to include it under Schedule 4 of the Medicines Act. So THC will stay in Schedule 7 under South African law. CBD will move to Schedule 4, which are substances that are in turn those substances that may be sold by pharmacists when presented with a written prescription. Michael said the government notice goes further in that it entirely excludes certain preparations containing CBD from the schedules of the Medicines Act. Preparations that contain a maximum daily dose of 20 milligrams and which do not claim to treat or cure any medical condition, but instead contain a low-risk claim or health claim, including reference to general health enhancement without any reference to specific diseases, health maintenance, or relief of minor symptoms, which are not related to a disease or order, basically as a supplement more than as a medicine, presenting it as a supplement more than as a medicine. Products also excluded from the schedules of the Medicine Act, products made from raw plant material and processed products which contain no more than 0.0001% of THC. So basically CBD is being more liberalized in terms of the law in South Africa as opposed to THC, which is remaining where it is. You know, each country obviously is going to move at their own pace. You know, somebody in the United States really can't say that another country is moving slowly, considering the pace at which we're moving with certain things in this country. But I mean, I guess it's moving forward. I guess if people can be prescribed CBD for in terms of prescriptions and for some sort of medical reason in South Africa, I guess that's better than not being able to access it. Although CBD at this point, I mean, there's so much of it and it's everywhere. I mean, places in the United States, you can just walk into pretty much any gas station and there's CBD gummies and all sorts of different things. So, but good for you, South Africa. I guess if that's a good thing to do. I don't know. I don't know anything about South Africa politics or what's currently going on there. But if more people get hold of CBD, that is a good thing overall. Earlier I said a state senator in Alabama that said medical marijuana needs more study. That's actually the Alabama House Speaker said that more study is needed when it comes to medical marijuana. Senate passed a medical marijuana bill in Alabama on May 9th, but it is not advanced in the House. Senator Tim Melson, a Republican, is an anesthesiologist and medical researcher, was a sponsor of the bill, would allow doctors to recommend medical marijuana to patients to treat pain, muscle spasms, and other symptoms for a variety of conditions. The House Health Committee will hold a public hearing on the bill. The House Speaker, Mac McCutcheon, also a Republican, says he believes the issue needs more study and expects lawmakers to appoint a committee to do that rather than pass Melson's bill in the form that left the Senate. So they'll put together a committee to study medical marijuana. McCutcheon said last week, quote, "It's in the educational phase, it being medical marijuana. Members are studying. We're listening to the opponents and proponents on it. We're gathering information. And that's one reason that this study commission idea, I think, is going to be very significant." So they're going to study the issue of medical marijuana in Alabama before they decide whether or not people can have the choice of medical marijuana to treat their various ailments. I have to wonder, when they say more study is needed, now we know there's been a lot of studies. There's more coming. They're doing more research all the time when it comes to cannabis. They say there hasn't been enough study. More study obviously means there hasn't been enough. So what would be enough? What is the figure? What is the level? What is the standard, if you will, when it comes to research that's going to be enough to where the guys like this will say, hey, I used to say we need more research, but now we have just the right amount of research. Obviously, it's going to be different for every single person in the legislative body that's deciding the issue. Wherein lies the problem? We're going to wait. We have to wait. People in Alabama have to wait for the House Speaker to decide whether or not there's been enough study, enough research on the issue before they're allowed the choice that people in other states have, and a choice that if they would make it is not infringing on the rights of anyone else. The only person who has to decide, or should have to decide, whether or not enough research has been done is the person taking the medical marijuana or consuming the medical marijuana or buying it or possessing it or growing it, whatever. The only person who should have to decide, or the only person that even needs to decide whether or not enough research has been done to use medical marijuana is the person using medical marijuana. Because you leave it up to some old people in some state capital somewhere. Well, what do they care? What do they care if you have medical marijuana? Of course, they can study it. They're fine. They're fine. They don't need. There's no urgency. There's no sense of urgency because they don't have to hurry up because it doesn't affect them. If medical marijuana doesn't pass in Alabama, they don't care because it doesn't affect them. And if the decision doesn't affect them, they shouldn't be making the decision. But we're so used to saying, oh, well, if these old dudes and now a couple old broads get together in the state capitol and maybe they decide that people are allowed to use medical marijuana, that's the way we're going to do things. Really? Is that the best? That's what I always hear. The system is the best we can do things. Is that the best we can do? That people in certain states can't use medical marijuana legally. They have no access to it. They're considered criminals if they use it, if they're found possessing it or growing it. Until some old people at the state capitol decide that, well, now we're going to allow you to do this thing that doesn't affect us at all. There's no they face no consequences for their actions. There's no sense of urgency. They don't have to hurry up because they don't care. So why are they making the decisions? And a better question is, why are we putting up with this? And I know, go vote, put someone else in, pick some other old person to go to the state capitol and make decisions for you. I would submit to you that the decision of whether or not you use marijuana should be yours and yours alone. You're the person that it affects. You're the person who will face the consequences of that decision. It should be your decision. Until we get past this thing where everything that comes down the pipe, we got to go, oh, well, what do the people in the state capitol say? Because we got to check with them. I can't live my life unless I find out what's going on with the state capitol. I need information. Have they passed a bill yet to allow me to do this? Otherwise, I can't do it. I'm a criminal. I can't use marijuana for medical purposes. I'm a criminal. Because some people in the state capitol that I don't know and don't know me and will never meet me, they decided that I can't do that. And the notion that if we just put other people in that position, we just keep changing them out until people will allow, us to use medical marijuana. But then what other freedoms are they going to take away? What other decisions are they going to make in our life? This whole notion of the government takes care of your life. Don't come crying when they decide things you don't want decided. You've opened the door. You've told them, hey, come take over large portions of my life and make my decisions for me. So when they start making decisions in other areas, and a lot of people in the cannabis community are like, oh, no, you can't do that. Well, yeah, guess what? They can. They can. Because you gave them permission and dominion over your life. You told them that you're cool with that. And they say, well, let's see how cool you are with this. And you say, well, I'm not cool with that. And they say, too bad. What are you going to do about it? Go to some other government? A competing government? You're going to leave the country? You're going to move, uproot your entire family and move out of the country? Certainly that's your prerogative. But it's incredibly expensive and disrupting to your life. So your only choice is that these government officials will have dominion over just about every single decision you make. If you think that's an exaggeration, make a list of all the things the government does have control over and a list of all the things that you have control over without government interference, whether it be taxes or regulations or restrictions. One list is much longer than the other. And you'll see which list is longer. And people of Alabama, well, the speaker there, he's decided that there's not enough research. What will be enough? Don't know. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. People in Birmingham, they're taking care of it. They have your best interest in mind and at heart, and they'll take care of you. Hold your breath and give it a shot. See what happens. Thanks, everybody. Check out the show, Cannabis News. We're here 5 days a week. MarijuanaTimes.org. Thank you to Nature Side, nature-side.com, and their organic, all-natural pesticides. Thank you all for watching and listening and sharing and all that stuff today. We'll see you next time right here on Cannabis News.